Data Safety Monitoring Board, also known as Independent Data Monitoring Committee or Data Monitoring Committee or Monitoring Committee. Any clinical trial may face risk of safety of research subject, credibility of trial, validity of the study data. So, in order to minimize this risk, sponsor uses the monitoring board. Data Safety Monitoring Board is an independent committee of experts whose expertise is used to monitor the clinical trials. Data Safety Monitoring Board assesses the progress of clinical study, performance and the safety data, critical efficacy endpoints. Data Safety Monitoring Board also recommends to the sponsor to continue, modify or to stop the trial. History of Data Safety Monitoring Board. How the Data Safety Monitoring Board developed by the first time. The National Institute of Health began sponsoring multi-center trials in the 1960s. The Greenberg report recommended having an independent group of experts. So the Greenberg report came from a task force under the Dr. Bernard Greenberg of the University of North Carolina and was asked by the former National Heart Institute to develop an advisory document concerning the organization and conduct of large multicenter trials of new treatment interventions, and that report known as Greenberg report and was issued in 1967. And that Greenberg report recommended that having an independent group of experts, that is individuals not directly involved in the trial itself, advise the institute about the conduct of trial. And in 1998, establishment of Data Safety Monitoring Board is required for multi-site clinical trials involving interventions that entail potential risk to the participants. What is the purpose of Data Safety Monitoring Board? The board has responsibilities to both subjects in terms of safety and the sponsor in terms of trial credibility. Specifically, the purpose of Data Safety Monitoring Board includes the protection of the safety of participants and also to ensure the credibility and integrity of the trial for future subjects. Also to ensure the timely conclusion of a trial so its results can be disseminated, and to ensure the validity of the test results, to identify the protocol violations that suggest clarification or changes to protocol are needed, identify unexpectedly high dropout rates that threaten the trial's ability to produce the credible results. There are two types of Data Safety Monitoring Board. In the first type, Data Safety Monitoring Board members independent of people and organization conducting the clinical trial. Example, sponsor, investigator. This type is most frequently used in commercial trials. In case of second type, the Data Safety Monitoring Board members may belong to or affiliated with same organization sponsor, but they are not part of the trial team. And this type is most frequently used in non-commercial trials. When pharmaceutical industry is sponsoring to the trial is known as commercial trials, and in case of non-commercial trial, the sponsor may be academic or hospital institution, a scientific group or society, or a clinical investigator. This is the difference in commercial and non-commercial trials. What is the composition of Data Safety Monitoring Board? A committee is composed of panel of 3 to 9 independent experts, and it is important to have multiple disciplines represented, and it includes a trial specific medical or clinical expertise, example physician, biostatisticians, ad hoc experts, example bioethicist, scientist, epidemiologist as needed, patient representative when appropriate, and also other important qualifications for the DSMB members is their experience, knowledge and understanding of clinical trial, willingness and ability to commit to attending meetings, also individual eligible to serve as investigators on a particular trial. Responsibilities of Data Safety Monitoring Board. The primary responsibilities of the Data Safety Monitoring Board is to periodically review and evaluate the accumulated study data for participant safety, study conduct and progress, and also make recommendations to sponsor concerning the continuation, modification or termination of the trial if needed. And interim and cumulative monitoring for the effectiveness, for safety, and also monitoring study conduct, consideration of the external data, studies of less serious outcome. The DSMB also has responsibility in early study data. And also the maintaining the meeting records is also the responsibility of the Data Safety Monitoring Board. Conflict of interest. No member of the Data Safety Monitoring Board should have direct involvement in the conduct of the study. Furthermore, no member should have any type of interest that may affect impartial, independent decision making by the DSMB. A conflict of interest exists when a Data Safety Monitoring Board member has a financial, proprietary, professional, or any other interest that could be affected by the study or a relationship with the study investigator that is likely to bias his or her review of it. All the DSMB members have to sign a conflict of interest certification at the time they are asked to participate. And at the beginning of every Data Safety Monitoring Board meeting, the DSMB chair will reconfirm that no conflict of interest exists for DSMB members. The interest that may create a potential conflict of interest should be disclosed by the DSMB prior to any discussion, and the DSMB will determine how to handle such potential conflict. Here it is the image of DSMB certification regarding conflict of interest, confidentiality and non-disclosure. All the DSMB member has to sign this type of certification before the participation. Meeting procedures. Procedure for organization of the meetings should be developed in accordance with the meeting requirement. So there are 4 types of meeting procedures: organizational meeting, early safety review meeting, periodic review meeting, final study closeout meeting. First is organizational meeting. The initial meeting, it should be attended by the DSMB members and representative of the sponsor, members of the study staff and the investigator. In this type of meeting, DSMB members should review and discuss the DSMB charter, including roles and responsibilities of protocol safety monitoring plan. In case of early safety review meeting, during the early stage of the implementation of a study, the meeting may be held to review early safety information and factors relating to quality of conduct of the study. Third one is periodic review meeting. The expected frequency of this type of meeting, it should be specified, and this meeting should review the efficacy and safety data generated during this period, and it should include a progress report from the investigator, serious adverse event reports and cumulative safety data. Fourth one is final study closeout meeting. At the time of termination or conclusion of a study, the DSMB may meet to consider the efficacy or the safety data generated from the study and provide any final recommendation to the sponsor. A final assessment report can be considered. DSMB meeting format. The recommended meeting format consists of the 4 sessions: open session, closed session, executive session and debriefing session. First is open session. The general conduct and the progress of the study are discussed in this type of session. In the closed session, the group safety data and the efficacy data are discussed by the study statisticians. And the executive session, this is the final session. It involves the DSMB members and the outcome results are discussed in this session. Debriefing session, DSMB members, statistical members and the sponsors are involved in this type of session. Open session. The DSMB members, voting members and ex officio members, site staff members and ad hoc experts are involved in this session. Open session discussion should focus on the conduct and the progress of the study and pay special attention to the pooled safety and the efficacy data. Any data provided must be presented without grouping by treatment assignment or otherwise by preserving the masking of all subjects. Outcome results must not be discussed during this session. Closed session. The DSMB should consider the data in relation to the conduct and the progress of the study and the study protocol. In this session, the DSMB should review an efficacy safety data, at times in unblinded format. This session normally attended by voting members, study statistician, and invited ex officio members. If treatment codes have been made accessible to the DSMB, then the DSMB may unmask the data based on procedure identified in advance. Closed executive session. This is the final session and involves only DSMB members to ensure complete objectivity as they discuss outcome results, make decision and formulate recommendation regarding the study. If treatment codes have been made accessible to the DSMB, then the DSMB may unmask the data based on procedures identified in advance. Charter. The charter is the principal organizational document for DSMB. It is drafted for each study. It provides the details of DSMB operational procedures and other instructions including membership role. The DSMB convenes when the predetermined analysis points are met. Example, subject under investigation. After some period of time, the data is provided to the DSMB by sponsor. The DSMB may require some more data for analysis, or they may recommend to break the blind as per the regulation given in the charter. All this information is confidential and blinded. After the analysis by the DSMB, they provide recommendation, and the whole process carefully documented and analyzed in order to provide the accuracy and ethical appropriateness. The detailed informations and guidelines in the charter is about membership composition, member roles and responsibilities, safety monitoring and analysis plan, conflict of interest assessment procedures, efficacy data monitoring plan, publications, confidentiality, and communication procedures. Quorum requirements. The DSMB charter should establish specific quorum requirements for reviewing and making recommendations, and which include: first is the minimum number of members required to compose a quorum, example more than half the members. Second is the professional qualification required, example physician, biostatistician, paramedic, ethic. Third is a quorum should include at least one physician with experience in the medical field of concern and one biostatistician. Study reports for DSMB meetings. It is the responsibility of the PI to ensure that the DSMB is apprised of all new safety information relevant to the study, product, and the study. The reports are prepared by the study statistician. Reports for meeting of the DSMB consist of the two separate parts: open session report and the closed session report. The first is open session report, and these reports provide information on study conduct such as protocol compliance, site performance, quality control, and currency of follow-up. General adverse events and toxicity issues are also included in the open report. Second is closed session report. This report may contain data on study outcome, including safety data, depending on the study efficacy data coded by the group. It may also contain the data from the open session report, but presented separately for each study arm. The closed session report is confidential and marked accordingly. Copies of the report distributed prior to and during a meeting are collected by the study statistician at the end of the closed session. Reports from the DSMB. There are 4 reports: verbal report, summary report, closed session report, and immediate action report. First is verbal report. At the conclusion of the DSMB meeting, The DSMB should discuss its finding, recommendation with sponsor representative and the study investigator. Second is summary report. The DSMB will issue a written summary report that identifies a topic discussed by the DSMB and describes their individual finding, overall safety assessment and the recommendation in the summary report. Third is closed session report. This type of report is optional and the DSMB may also prepare a confidential minutes that include the details of closed session discussion. So meetings are held in the strict confidence and it is accessible only to the voting members of the DSMB. Fourth is immediate action report. The DSMB chair will notify the sponsor of any finding of serious and immediate nature or recommendation to discontinue all or part of the trial. This is written confidential report may contain unmasked supporting data and include the DSMB members' rationale for their recommendation. The report should be submitted to the FDA if it is in under of IND. Institutional Review Board and Data Safety Monitoring Board. What is the interaction of the Data Safety Monitoring Board with the Institutional Review Board? And the question arises, if the Institutional Review Board is present, then why there is need of Data Safety Monitoring Board? The Data Safety Monitoring Board have responsibilities that complement with those of the Institutional Review Board. Here is the difference. The Data Safety Monitoring Board and the Institutional Review Board, they both work separately. The responsibilities of the Institutional Review Board is oversees the patient safety, initial and continuing review of protocol and related documents, approve informed consent, review reports of unanticipated problems, receive reports of SIEs, serious adverse events. Where Data Safety Monitoring Board have responsibilities, oversees the patient safety, review of safety and the efficacy data, review of trial conduct, provide monitoring plan to Institutional Review Board, provide summaries of study safety to IRBs at the agreed upon intervals. Where Data Safety Monitoring Board has no role in approving of informed consent, and also adverse events are reported to both the Data Safety Monitoring Board and the Institutional Review Board, but at different intervals and in different format. IRB focuses on the safety issue, while the DSMB reviews aggregated data from all sites and according to the study arm. PI submit the open DSMB report or minutes to the IRB. Data and Safety Monitoring Plan. What is a Data and Safety Monitoring Plan? It is a general plan contained in the research protocol to ensure the safety of the subjects and ensure the validity of the data. The essential elements of a Data and Safety Monitoring Plan are: first is monitoring progress of trial and safety of participant. Second, a description of the mechanism for reporting unanticipated problems involving risk to subjects such as well as adverse events to the IRB, FDA or DCGI and sponsor. Third one is plans for assuring data accuracy and protocol compliance.